Hello dear students, welcome to the lecture 11 of Responsive Web Design with ASP.NET 5 and MVC Pattern and Bootstrap 5. So today we will continue from where we have left at the previous week, the text area tag helper. I will start with cloning our repository, our previous lecture directory. Okay, lectures. Okay, lecture 11. All right. Okay, so let's read from here until it is getting loaded.
The text area tag helper. For general text input, the HTML specification offers two types of elements. The input element, which handles all kinds of input, from the generic text type to the more exotic radio and check buttons. And while the text input is great for short, single-line text input, it's not built for longer texts. For this purpose, we have the text area element. It generally looks like a normal text input element, but it can span multiple lines by default and comes with support for scroll bars. In other words, it's built for longer texts. ASP.NET Core comes with a nice tag helper for the text area, just like for the input element, so let's look into it.
Okay, so with text area we can take multi-line input from user, and it would be obviously better. Okay, let's start with renaming our lecture. Okay, lecture 11. It is kind of slow, I don't know why. Okay, and let's rename our solution as well. Okay, and let's start with lecture 11. Actually, we don't even need lecture 11 right now. We can continue from lecture 10. You see, we already have text area for big letter, and in our model here we have big letter as multi-line text data type, and at the code behind in our controller we can see how the data we are getting. Okay, and okay, let's continue. I will test it in a moment.
The for property. Just like several of the other tag helpers, the connection to the model is created with the for property, and as with any other tag helper property, it requires a prefix. This prefix is usually ASP, unless you specifically change this. In other words, a tag helper enabled text area, in its most simple form, would look like this. Text area ASP for equals description / text area.
Description is the code behind parameter name. It will be string.
This will give you a very basic text area. The resulting HTML looks like this.
Okay.
Since no size or anything else is specified, the rendered size will be decided by the browser. If you want more control over this, and you probably do, you will need to use the relevant HTML properties, either the old school calls and rows or through the style property using CSS. Here's an example of each. Notice how easy it is to mix the tag helper attribute for with regular HTML attributes.
Okay, let's test it immediately in our application. So I will bind it to, let me find our model here, just a regular string, prop string. Okay, let's say SR description. Okay, and then let's get a new line like this, and then Let's put some BR. Okay, so you see IntelliSense telling me that there is no description at the model which is bound to this CSHTML page. So I will just type SR, and SR description has arrived. Okay, now when we run the application, it should be rendered as expected. Okay, meanwhile waiting it, let's continue.
There are of course many more styling options using CSS, but that's a subject for another tutorial.
Okay, we can pass that for now.
Controlling minimum and maximum lengths. Both the input and the text area HTML elements allows you to specify a max length attribute to control the maximum amount of characters allowed in the element. However, when using tag helpers, there's no need to specify this in the markup. Instead, define it directly on the model.
So we don't need to define max length in our HTML code. We can define it in our model, since we are binding that element to a property in our model.
This will allow you to only define it in one place, to be used anywhere you use this property, including validation before saving to a database, etc.
So this approach is much better because it will be globally available everywhere where you are binding to this model, and it will be automatically verified at the code behind.
Here's an example of a movie class where we define a max length for the description property.
Okay. So here are multi-line boxes. You see, I can change their properties, and when I refresh, this is the default, this is the size that we have defined. For example, here we have defined as 25 columns and 3 rows. You see, it is 3 rows, and I think we can type 25. And in here it is 200, 400 pixel. So it is not row based. You see there is still some space at the bottom. And yeah, that's it. I can change its size as I want, like this. Let's also add max length and min length requirements. Okay, max length equal to 32. Okay, and then min length 5. Let's run and see it how it works. Okay, by the way, this will be verified if we put this inside a form before we can even able to submit it. Let's also make that way to test. Okay, so I'm going to generate a post like this, and here form, and let's add a submit button. Okay, let's run. So when I click this submit button, it will tell me that you have to enter certain number of strings, letters into the boxes before even I can even submit it back to the server. Okay. Okay, when I click, oh, it is submit. Interesting. Why? Okay, it has max length and min length. Maybe because we have allowed null, and yeah, now it says invalid data sent back to the server. However, it is not preventing us from submitting. So let's check what we are missing. Okay, this was supposed to be not submittable since we have min length and max length. but it is not working. Max length, if you yeah, it is not working. Let's try it on Internet Explorer. Maybe there will be a difference. No. You see, since it is not validating model, we are getting this, but our submission is not prevented. So let's see. Let's continue from the tutorial to see. Oh, we didn't add client-side validation yet.
Notice how the max length attributes are added to the markup, but on top of that, data attributes are generated to support client-side model validation. Validation. If you test this simple form in a browser, you will see that it's no longer possible to input any more characters than what the max length attribute specifies.
Okay, and did we add client-side validation scripts? We have used that in lecture 9, I think. Okay, yeah, these scripts. I'm going to put these scripts into our Vue import. So they will be available in every page right now. So I can then remove them from here. And let's restart and see what happens. Okay. Now it is supposed to generate client-side JavaScript to client-side verify as well. Okay, and like this. Okay, it's still don't verify client-side. But our script should be available. When I view the page source, do I see it? No, I don't see it. Interesting. Why? View import is here. We have added the scripts. Okay. Not visible in page source code. Let's see why. Let's check the network source code. Okay, so we have localhost, and in our response, no, we don't have it. Let's add a test here like this. It should be put into the top of the page. It is under the view, so it should be available for all pages. View import. Oh, it is not available right now. We don't see the test anywhere. Yeah. So why? View imports. View import CSHTML. Okay, this is so interesting. Another mystery to solve for us. Tag helpers are visible, but scripts are not. And we can't even see that in our source code. Yeah, we can't see it anywhere. Okay, so the Vue import CSHTML supports, I see. For JavaScript, I think we need to use, what was its name? It was something else, but I can't remember right now. Vue start, yes. We need to use Vue start, not Vue import for CSH, for JavaScript. Okay. So let's add a Vue start. What was the difference? Vue start versus Vue import. Let's refresh our memory. Okay. Okay, let's read the answer from here.
The underscore view start file. It is used to set up shared memory, public static variables, across all Vue files. For example, the common practice for Vue start is to set up a default value that you can override for the layout and the viewdata/viewbag dictionary. The underscore view imports file. In this file you can summarize, abstract, all using statements that you commonly use in all your views. Why to use underscore view imports file for common using directives instead of view start? Because using directives has the scope of the body of the current view file. So, putting it using statements inside view start file won't make them available for any other view file except the body of the view start file itself.
Okay, so that is why we didn't see them. Vue import renders inside the body. Therefore, these scripts are not visible there. Let's add a Vue start file. It is simply a Vue, and it is exactly named as Vue start. Like this, Vue start. Okay. And I think this is rendered at the top of the page or end of the page. Let's continue.
Itself. Therefore, comes the special view imports file, which is designed to serve this scope extension purpose of the it using statements and other useful things, such as the tag helper, which without this special file, would be repeated inside each view file, which violates the dry, don't repeat.
Okay, let's see. There is another explanation.
1. Code that needs to be executed before each page should be placed _viewstart.cshtml file.
Okay, code that needs to be executed before each page, which means our header file. Now we should be able to see them. Yes, you see, now we are seeing our scripts in our header, and now when we try, yes, it is not working. However, we are not seeing the messages because we didn't add validation error summary. And let's add that as well. I think it will be labeled ASP for error summary. Okay. Okay, ASP.NET MVC error summary. I think there was something here, validation summary attribute and HTML validation summary. I wonder if there is such tag. Okay, ASP for validation summary. Let's use HTML for HTML validation summary. Validation summary bakmamış. Okay, and let's see the validation summary addTagHelper and how it is made. Okay, HTML validation summary, yeah, we have that, we know that. Oh, it is like this, ASP validation summary. Yeah, nice. Let's make it like this. Nice, you see now it is summary model only. And what other options there are? I think there is also all or something like that. Yeah. Okay, now we should be able to see the errors for this particular form, only for this inside one, I think. Though I am not sure. We will see it. Okay, so let's inspect the source code. Okay, we have div class validation summary, data validation message summary true, and inside it, it has some list. And I think it should be bound to this. Let's try. Yes, yes. Now it says that the field SR description must be a string or array type with minimum length of 5. Okay, so when we set them 5, it returns. However, when I set one of them 3, it still bypasses. So if one of them satisfy the requirement, the other one is not checked. I see. So it is expecting only one of them to be valid. If I make it like this, it will throw an error and won't post back to the server. If I I cannot type more than 30, by the way. Alright, data is received version 2. It is working, and when return it is returning like this. So let's continue reading the difference. Where was it? Here. Okay, let's start from beginning.
Code that needs to be executed before each page should be placed _viewstart.cshtml file. For _viewImport.cshtml, the contents of this file apply to all the files present in the same folder and subfolder. So _viewstart is execution, whereas _viewImport applies its content to each file. Test 1 placing both layout, correct, reference and using statement, incorrect, at _viewstart will give compiler error. Test 2 placing both layout, incorrect, reference and using statement, correct, at _viewImport will not apply _layout to other pages. As per MSDN viewImport support following directives. at addTagHelper, at removeTagHelper, all run in order. At tagHelper prefix, the closest one to the view overrides any others. At model, the closest one to the view overrides any others. At inherits, the closest one to the view overrides any others. At use.
Okay, and okay, code in WeaveStart CSHTML file will only be run for non-layout pages. Code in Weave's import will be run for both layout and non-layout pages. I have tested this by moving the default application inside JavaScript snippet from imports file to the start file, and it caused a good error on my layout page as it can now find JavaScript, then inject. Okay, so these are the differences, and let's see if we can find any other more useful difference. We've shared layouts, and this thing is defined in Weave set. Okay. Okay, what is the difference? Okay, let's start reading from here as well. This is important to understand.
Underscore viewstart.cshtml. It's a special file in ASP.NET Core MVC. The code in this file is executed before the code in an individual view is executed. Instead of setting the layout property in each individual view, we can move that code into the underscore viewstart.cshtml file. By setting the layout property in underscore viewstart.cshtml file, maintaining our application becomes much easier. In the future, if we want to use a different layout file, we just need to change the code in one place in underscore viewstart.cshtml.
Okay, let's start taking our lecture notes for this week. Okay, in lecture 11, okay, what is the difference between, by the way, wherever you put these files, it overrides all the subfolders. So since this is under views, it overrides all subfolders like under lecture 10 or such. If I move this to lecture 10 folder, it will only be available for lecture 10 CSHTML. If I copy and clone it under the lecture 10, then the clone will override the parent one. So it is working in hierarchy simply. Okay, and we start HTML. Why we need to put JavaScript files and define layout in WeaveStart. Okay, so what happens if we move tag helpers to WeaveStart? Would it work? Let's see. And let's save this too. Okay, it doesn't work. Yes. So tag helpers has to be inside Weave import. Okay. Why? Okay. Tag helper reference has to be defined inside Weave import, and okay, so what is Weave import? Let's continue reading it.
What is underscore viewimports.cshtml? Underscore viewimports.cshtml file is usually placed in the views folder. It is used to include the common namespaces, so we do not have to include them in every view that needs those namespaces.
So you see, this is used to include common namespaces such as tag helpers. So this is the difference. For common namespaces, we use view import. For other things that we want to be visible on every page, for example, I can type here something as this is the beginning of view start, and let's see how it will be visible. And it will be in view start. Okay, so that is what we need to understand. All right, so we can continue our tutorial. This is the way we define minimum length, and yes.
Just like the tag helper for the input element, the text area tag helper makes it easier to make a strong connection between the model and the text areas you need in your views.
Definitely, it is working. And the select tag helper, a new one.
The select tag helper. The select tag helper will allow you to easily create HTML select elements based on your data.
Like drop-down box. In C# we have drop-down box or drop-down list. This is drop-down is used to, in web forms or WPF or Windows forms. So this is the equivalent of that. But before doing that, you see this is the beginning of the view start. It is at the top of our page, as you can see. Okay, let's continue.
Data. This is one of the more advanced tag helpers, with more functionality than what we see in e.g. the text area tag helper, but as you'll see, that just means it will save you even more keystrokes when using it in your views. You will also notice that because the select tag helper does a bit more for you, the examples in this article are a bit more complex compared to previous articles. First of all, let's discuss what the select element does. Here's a pure HTML example.
Okay, so this is the pure HTML example and it generates an output like this. Okay. This is a standard classic HTML, nothing as ASP or C# or Visual .NET or whatever.
So as you can see, the select element will render one or several options in a list, by default a drop-down list, allowing you to select an option. The options are provided with option elements and each of them can have a value, e.g. an ID, as well as a text label, in this case a movie title. However,
I am teaching how to bind custom class objects list to a drop-down list or combo boxes in .NET applications in my advanced programming lecture, in my object-oriented programming lecture. So if you are interested in .NET C# programming, you should definitely watch my Introduction to Programming, Advanced Programming, and Object-Oriented Programming lecture playlists. Okay, all of them are on our channel, available for free.
There's no need to hand code all those option tags. We can have them automatically generated, based on a data source, usually a database, with the select tag helper. The foreign items attributes. As with several of the other tag helpers, the select tag helper has the ASP for attribute, which will allow you to bind its value to a specific property on the model. In addition to that, an attribute called ASP items is available, which will allow you to provide a data source for the select element.
Okay, so ASP4 will bind to a property specific and ASP items will bind it to a data source. So I am assuming that ASP items will be a list or an array, something enumerable, and ASP4 will be the selected element from my assumption.
The ASP for attributes needs a property on the model to bind to, and the ASP items needs a list of possible options. While both things can come from the same model, it's often more practical to create a specific view model for the purpose, which will combine the model you are working with and the list of possible options. An example of this could be a form for editing a user, where you want to be able to edit basic stuff like name, email, etc., but also allow the user to select which country they live in. This list of countries would likely come from another source, e.g. a database, or from a list of hand-picked countries. In this case, you could create a view model like this.
Okay, so this is simply a model, and okay, something like that. Okay, I will compose our own example. However, I am more interested in with list with key and values. Okay, so this is so simple, something so simple. But let's start from simple one, and then we can see the more complex ones. Okay, so let's start with a simple example, and let's code ourselves instead of copy pasting. So I am going to have a property string sr country, and then I am going to have a list, property list string. Okay, as the country, and I will set it by default something like this Turkey, and Syria, and United States, and Germany. Okay, and then we need to generate our select tab. So let's add it to here. Okay, so we are going to have select an ASP for as our country and ASP list items. You see, it has automatically made it. How did we name it? We did name it as ASP items will come from LST country, but why it didn't automatically complete it? Okay, let's see if it gives an error. Yeah. Okay, it says that this is not available in current context, and why? We are using model. We have made it public list, but it says it is not available. It is also get and set, therefore it's a property. Okay, so it is saying I see. So this is not the format of doing ASP items. Let's look for a better example. ASP items MVC example. Yeah, so this is the only way, new list. add parentheses new select list, and inside that now still not available new select list model.ic model.lst country, then t model selected value. So selected value will be nothing. I think I won't give a selected value. Yeah. So now we should be able to see the selected item here on our code behind. Okay, so by default it is starting from 0 index. Let's select Germany and test it. Okay, so in our model, okay, SR country is bound to Germany as we wanted. Yes, it is working as expected. And now we can move to the more advanced example. So let's assume that we have a list of something different. I mean a class. Okay, so CS countries, and in this example I will define something different. So here we have public property it's SR country name string, and then we are going to have country code. Okay, or country, yeah, country code. Okay, country codes, and then we are going to have a list of country class, list of country class. This will use CS countries, and now I will define it in here as new CS countries, and here I will define country name as Turkey, and country code will be TR, and let's add few ones like United States, US. Okay, Germany is GA, I think. Country codes. Okay, we are using ISO codes, so let's check Germany. Oh, it is DA. I was remembering incorrectly. Germany, DA. Okay, it doesn't matter how many we define. We just need to have an example. And now I am going to have another select, but this time we will also bind it to its selected country code. Okay, so this time let's also have another parameter as prop string and sr selected country code. Okay, and ASP4 list of country, not this time we will use list of country class. Selected value will be okay, model dot no, let's check from the example. We just provide string. Yeah, that makes more sense. So we provide the string of the, this is the value. The value we want to get is SR country codes, and the display item yes, string data text field, which will be displayed to the user as our country name. Okay, and yeah, that's it. Let's start and see if it is working or not. I am exactly showing this how to achieve it in my other lecture, as I have explained in my introduction to in my advanced programming lecture, or in my object-oriented programming lecture for desktop applications. Okay, I am picking United States and see which data we are getting. Okay, so the selected country code is this time US, not the United States. Exactly working as we wanted. If we inspect the code, we can see that ID is SR selected country code, name is SR selected country code, class valid, area invalid, false, and inside it we have option value, options with value. Okay, so let's note that how to generate tag helper having select options, how to bind select options to a property in the model, how to bind selected option value to a property and display another property as select text. Okay, all right, and on these things I can have all kind of validations as well. Like I can tell that the country code will be a string, but we are providing this, so it is not necessary. That is not something that users can change. Actually, I wonder that what happens if user change it. So can we trust the data that is being sent? So I will pick. By the way, you see it is increased after the postback, so that is kind of problematic. We need to change it. Why after postback it has increased? Yeah, it is getting populated twice. Oh, probably I know the reason, because in our code behind we are putting model into temp data, and that is just doubling our list. Okay, and yeah, let's first test our case. I think we can trust the data that will be sent back. For example, United States, and I change it, send data. Okay, I need to put a breakpoint at the code behind. Okay, I am modifying this to something as being a malicious user. Yes, you see I am getting the modified data, so you can't trust it directly. You have to verify it, and it can be done whether that this list contains it or not, simply. So you need to verify it. Let's make our verification. How can we do that? We can do it by something like requirement requirements I mean custom requirement. Yeah, we need to code a custom requirement for this in as in our previous lecture. Where was it? Where was our custom requirement? Here. I'm going to have a custom requirement, and I will explain to you how can it be done. So yeah, this was there, and do we have a custom requirement here? Yeah, I think this is even easier, but which one should we prefer? Validation results. Yeah, I think I will use this methodology. Okay, what I want to do is I want to automatically verify that the selected data from country code is valid or not. Okay, so that is my aim, and I am going to achieve it with a custom validation. My custom country code validation, and it will get the model, and inside this model what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a for each of list of country class, and it has to be like this. But since this is instance based, I think we can't use it. So I need to make something like this, lecture 10. So this model name is lecture 10. Okay, lecture 10 temp new lecture 10. So I am composing an instance of this class in my validation code, and or I can make this as static, then I wouldn't be needed to generate instance of that. So list of country classes, and here per country, and actually it would be even easier, like if list of country classes select, I am going to use a link queue dot pr dot country codes to list contains, and value dot, I think I need to convert it back to my model as, yeah, will be used for this, so it will be string value to string basically. Yeah, if it is not containing, then I will return error, like this new validation results. Are you trying to hack our website? Are you trying to hack our website? Otherwise, we will return success, and I am going to set this to here, like this, simply, and let's test it out. Okay, do we have a problem somewhere? We have an error. Oh, now I can't access it as an instance, so I have to access it as class reference, and which is available in lecture 10.models.lecture10.SECountries. Yeah. Since we have made it static, now I have to give full path, or I have to add a using here. Show you using this. If I make this as using, then I don't have to provide the full path like this. It will still work, but I need to make this as static, I think. Static dot. And now it's still not available. Using static. Yeah, now working. Using static lecture 10 models. You see, this is the directive. Okay. How to use using static to access static properties of non-static, or let's say, yeah, non-static classes instance created. Okay, and now I am going to send a data with a modification as Germany, and I will modify something like this. Let's add some data here, and oh, we are getting is model valid. However, this shouldn't be the case because selected country code is here, so we have an error somewhere. Let's open lecture 10. This was supposed to be for this. Why it didn't work? Maybe we have a bugged code. So let's try as United States. Change it. Send. Oh, it is not even getting inside that. Let's open lecture 8. Get set. Interesting. New validation result. The problem is it is not entering inside the validation code right now. So this is kind of challenging. So this is not inside the lecture 8, and it will make the same. We have put it inside the lecture 10. Maybe that is why it is not working. Let's move this to out of the class, like here. Okay, now what does it tell? Now we can access it because we need to use lectures 10, not list of standard classes. Okay, and if it is false, okay, let's see if it will work this time. I don't think it should make a difference, but I don't know. We have a country code validation, and it is here. Validation attribute is valid object value validation context. Let's check our lecture 8 controller. Maybe we made something else here. We said is valid, is model valid. Yeah, we didn't do anything special. So I am even able to post. No, not yet. Okay, let's make something like this. United States. And let's change the value. Send data, yeah. It is still validating. I think I know the reason. Yeah, I know the reason. Because we are trying to validate incorrect thing, different thing. So this attribute will be validated not here, but here. Because this is the value we are setting, okay? And now it will work. I am pretty sure of it. Let's run the application to see. By the way, we are returning a content. I think we need to return validation result. But since I won't be returning my model, I think it won't be visible to the user. Okay, and United States. Okay, validated. Now let's change the data. Okay, this is returned. I think I can add the error message of the validation. And how can I do that? I can do it with, I think, let's add a BR here and plus ModelState dot where is the errors? Error message, how to get it? Let's see. Validation get error message, MVC validation summary. Yeah, it was somewhere here. Oh, no, not here. Okay, so there is model error. Maybe it will be here. Model by model dot error. Okay. Model state is valid error message. Okay, yeah, someone already asked that. Okay, so oh, it is like this, I see. Okay, so this will select all elements inside model state and it will get the value of errors, and then I will use this to string join. So separator will be a new line tag, and this will be the list. Okay, let's see. Now we should be able to see which errors are we getting when our model state is not valid. So we are not just displaying some blind data to the user. We are telling that you have sent some invalid data to the server, and we are telling where is the error. Okay. And how to add a custom validation to a custom class. How to return user the custom validation error from code behind in controller by using ModelState errors. Okay. Okay, now let's try. Let's select Germany and let's change the value to something like this. Okay, now no. So let's put a breakpoint here to debug and see what kind of data we are getting. So model state has 5 elements here, and inside this dictionary, can I see that? No. Let's move to the next step, and in errors we have one error and yeah, error message. So I need to check error message, not the error itself. So basically what I need to do is I need to write another select, and here error message. Oh, I'm not able to select it. Okay, so errors 0 index, and inside that I see first or default, then error message. Okay, now it should work. Okay, now we are able to see. However, you see the message is displayed like this because we didn't parse it as raw, because it is parsed as encoded. Therefore, I need to return this content as raw. Okay, so let's also do that. As without that MVC return content raw HTML, not as encoded. How to return content as raw HTML, not encoded HTML. Okay, so how do we do it? Okay, it is simply like this. Nice. Okay, let's add it. Okay, I think I can make it look better with simple formatting like this. Yeah, now it will look better. Okay, and so this is link queue, and first of default, yeah, you see I didn't know how to select errors, so I did debugging, and in debugging I checked what kind of objects are returned, then I found my way to how to do it. So debugging is extremely useful. How to utilize debugging to figure out and find out how to access or do something or some property of objects. Okay. Yeah, I think it was a good description. Now let's try it with hacking trying. Okay, now it worked because we didn't change the correct one, and now okay, HTML is still not parsed as HTML. Oh, I know, because I didn't close it. Now I have to restart. Okay, let's make a quick test. And here I'm changing value. Okay. Okay, still not working. Interesting. Why? I see. So there is results as content type. So this is the proper way probably. So we define a content type something. So let's put it here, message. Then we set the content type and we just return the result. Content and content type. Okay. And returning content instead of a view. Okay, now I think it will work. Oh, this can be also work. Okay, let's see if this will work or not. I think this is the most elegant solution. Yes, now working as HTML, not raw content. Okay, I will take a pause here. Okay, let's continue to our tutorial.
Working with Enums. Another very common usage scenario for the select tag helper is in combination with enumerations, enums. An enumeration is a list of possible choices, defined in code, with each option corresponding to a number. This is very useful in a lot of situations, and you will find lots of enumerations in the framework. An example of this is the day of week enumeration, used for the property with the same name on the datetime struct. It's defined like this.
Okay, so this is day of week enumeration. I think it is already defined in datetime struct. We can also define our own enumerations. So Let's define a enumeration. I think this is a good one. Okay, I'm going to define it in lecture 10 model. Here, public enum web user validation status unknown, display not verified yet. I think we can even assign values and integers, and not verified yet, like 0, verified by email like 1, verified by phone like 2. Okay, now let's compose a drop down for this. Okay, so and then let's compose a property for selected enumeration. And how can we do it? We can do it with prop enumeration, but this will be it. Okay, validation status, all right. And then let's get into our CHTML here. For validation status, items will be from our enumeration, and let's see if it will work directly or we need some extra code. Okay, like this, and I don't need even this. Okay, I think this will be enum list or something like that. Let's see the tutorial. Yeah, HTML get enumeration list, I see. So this is a little bit different. It is like HTML dot get enumeration, in our case lecture 9 dot models dot lecture 10 dot no, it is not available there. I have to put this inside lecture 10 class, so it will be available. Okay. Then okay, web users validation status. Okay, let's see if it will work or not. I'm going to put a breakpoint and let's run the application to see if we are getting the selected enumeration or not. By the way, if you have noticed that we are having a display tag attribute here, display name. Okay, so yeah, we are here seeing the names. Okay, and let's send a data, and in here let's see. Okay, SR title. Where is the verification? Validation status is validated by phone. Yeah, you see validated by phone. We can even get its integer data, such as varchar validation numeric data. Numeric value will be equal to my model dot validation status, and simply I will get it as integer. Okay, so let's run it again. Okay, what are enumerations? How to set custom display name to enumerations? How to assign and read enumerations? How to assign numeric values and read. How to assign and read. To the enumerations. How to bind an enumeration to a select list, drop-down list in ASP.NET Web Forms. Okay. Okay, it is here. I'm going to check verified by phone. And here we are getting the value numeric 2. Okay, it is great. Of course, you would need validation. I wonder if we can break the post-packet data and it will get validated. Let's test that. I will try to modify data and postback and see if it works or breaks something, if it gets validated or not. For example, I will get verified by phone. Okay, so it is like this. Where it is here, it has value. You see, these values are coming from enumeration itself. So let's make this value something like this and this like this and do a postback. Okay, so it didn't get verified. This is great. And if the enumeration is modified, it won't work. For example, let's modify the text of enumeration. Okay, if you modify the text of enumeration, it works, but if you modify the value of enumeration, then it doesn't work. Okay, and let's move to the okay, there is also groups. This is another feature.
Working with groups. The native HTML select element support grouping of data, which basically just means that you can add elements which works like headers instead of actual elements, causing the following elements to appear as a part of this group. The addTagHelper supports this behavior as well, but it requires you to deliver a set of grouped items instead of just any kind of objects as we saw in previous examples. For this purpose, you would usually create a view model to contain the grouped items. Using Microsoft.
Okay, so in grouped items, what do we have? We have a public constructor here, which assigns movies to a new list, and it has a movies list. And you see, this list contains selected list item. Okay, this is the key issue. And then let's continue.
Then, when creating the view model, you should create instances of the selectListItem class to hold the items, and create an instance of the selectListGroup class for each group you want and assign it to selectListItems. It sounds more complicated than it is, as you can see.
Okay, so then we have selectListGroup like this, name dramas. Then it has group as drama movies here, and list item like this. So the select list item. Okay, I understand, so I will do it myself. Okay, first we are going to compose a new class such as yeah, we can also define a movie list, like list select list item. Okay, for select list item I need to add a reference. You see Microsoft ASP.NET Core MVC rendering, and it will be my or let's say movies list. Okay, and it will be new, so it will be initialized, and at our controller I am going to set it, and then we have select group item item. Okay, so to be able to use this I also need to add, no, not like this, select list group. Oh, I see. New list item group. Okay, select list group. Okay, I'm missing rendering. So the first group will be drama group will be new. Select this group, and inside select this group we have disabled and name, so the name will be dramas. And okay, there is some problem here, we don't set this, yes. And then we are going to have, let's say, action group drama movies. Okay, movies and action movies. Okay, and then we are going to use my model dot movie list. It'll be equal to new select this item group, and here, okay, so in select list item there is group and text, but why it is not listed? Okay, this is interesting. New select list item. Oh, I see the reason, I guess. This is a method overloading, so there are inch capacity and collection. If you make it like this, then what do we get? Okay, first I will define something like this. Select this item first movie. New select this item, then first movie dot. Oh, now we can set it, I see. Okay, so let's make it like this. Okay, I see now. Okay, now I don't need it. My model dot movie list equal to new select this item group, and inside here I will set new select this item, and here now I can set them. Okay, group will be equal to drama group, then text will be equal to, okay, what are the drama movies? Forrest Gump. Okay. Then I will set a value for that as 1. Why? Let's say its ID is 1. So value is expecting a string, therefore 1. Then I will define another one like this. So let's add another movie to here. This time Fight Club. Fight Club is not very much drama, but yeah, let's make it like this. Then let's add another one as action group. This time let's say action movies. Matrix, I don't know if it can be counted as action. And let's another one. This time let's say Mortal Kombat. Okay. Combat, okay. And we finish it here. We remove this. Okay. So, by the way, I will assign this in constructor so that I can directly assign it to my drop down list. And how am I going to assign it? So do we have a constructor of lecture 10? Probably no. Public lecture 10. This will be the constructor. And here we will set this.movieList equal to this. And for grouping to work, what do we need? I don't know if grouping would work. Yeah, let's try that. Okay. And then let's bind it to our new drop-down list. Like here. So what we want to read is select list item. Okay. Therefore, we are going to generate a property as prop select list item and selected movie. Okay. So this will be our binding, and in our list, let's see how do we set it in the code. Probably it is same as here. And let's set it like this. And model dot movies list. Okay, let's try what happens. Okay, and oh, it is not bound. So we need to set, I think, the read value and display name. So this is the selected value, I think. So the selected value will be, since this is the select select list item list. So I don't know. Let's see, select list item, ASM item, select list. Okay, none of them is select list item. Here I think I am seeing that. Okay, there is value and text. Okay, in our select list, what do we have? We have select list item, and okay, this is not an answer to our question. ASP items is model. Select name my day. Okay, so you have to rephrase your question and look for other options. Okay, there is text value and how it is bind. Okay, this is what we are getting exactly. Then maybe I need to define text and value to be able to see. And what will happen to group? I don't know. Text value. I wonder if there's a group name. Selected value. Yeah, there is also data group field. Maybe I can also provide it as data group field will be group. And then there is selected value. Data value fit data text selected value. So maybe this will be, I don't know. Let's provide it like this or let's make it and null. I think it will work. Let's try it. In the tutorial, did they display how to do it? Basically, no. No, they didn't show. Maybe here. Oh, new select list ID title. Okay, no, it is not working. New select list model.movies ID and title. And where does the ID and title comes? currently we are displaying, let's see, ops group label is select this group, force camp, fight club. Their values and display text are reversed, so this will be value, this will be text. And about group, we have a problem. Maybe I don't need to provide that, so let's try without providing that. Maybe it will automatically arrive, but I'm not sure. Let's remove. So yes, let's try like this. I don't know if grouping will not work or not. Okay, now items are here, but not the group. Okay, so what is left is, let's see, select this group, MVC. I want to see how can it be done. Okay, address type, address state, null, null. No. So address state is coming from, where is the group data? Yeah, address state is the group name. So we need to provide our group name. However, we don't have a special group name. So we just need to provide group as, I think, null. And then data group field like this. Let's see what happens. No, the group is still not working. We have a problem with group name. Oh, so there is group with select list item. And maybe that would be better instead of select list item. Yeah, why not using group with select list item instead of group? So let's modify our model as group with Okay, we are mistyping. Yeah, there is no such thing. So this is the library. Yeah, this is something else. Okay, someone else also asked this. Model category class. Okay, there are select list group too. Form data. Okay, so many people have asked our question, but there is not a good. Oh, this is the order that we have to provide. Ah, no. NST personal. Let's keep this as well. Oh, 1 minute. Let's reverse it to previous. Okay. Here. Let's try like this. I wonder what will happen. The group is not visible. Okay, let's see the constructors. object data value field object selected data. Okay, data group field used to match the group property corresponding selected list item. So why it is not working? Let's put a breakpoint here to see what kind of data we are getting. Group action group. These groups are not visible perhaps. Okay, so in our movies list we have 4 select list item. Oh, I see. We need to get group name, not the group itself, as you can see, because group has disabled and name. Therefore, how can we get it? Group.name. I wonder if that would work. Probably it wouldn't work, but now I know the reason. As we got, let's say MVC group name select list. We need to group by name. Okay, how do we bind it? We need to get name property of the group. Okay, now working. Yes, we have solved it ourselves. Now you see they are grouped, as you can see. And when I send data back, I should be able to get selected item field. Let's try matrix. For example, from our model, let's see here, and our selected movie here. Oh, our selected movie is null. Why? Why it didn't get selected? Let's see the values. Okay, select the movie, opt group label. Oh, so this is sending back the values of the selected item. Therefore, it didn't work. So at code behind, I have to get the movie ID, and therefore let me fix that as well. So we have values as text, so it will be string selected movie ID. Yeah, now it will work. So we will be able to get selected movie ID. Okay, let's note that. Okay, how to build opt group. This is using opt group. How to use it. Okay, and let's check matrix. And on our model, yes, we are getting it. Okay, all right, it is working great. All right, now that we have achieved how to use group selected items, now we will continue with working with multiple selection lists. All right.
Working with multiple selection lists. In some situations, you want the end user to be able to select more than one item from the list at the same time. This is not possible in a drop-down list, which is the default rendering of the HTML select element, but it is in fact supported. If you use the multiple attribute, your select tag will be rendered as a list box instead of a drop-down list, allowing you to select multiple items. Fortunately for us, the select tag helper supports this as well. In fact, it will automatically use a multiple selection list if the property used in the ASP4 attribute is of the type IEnumerable, e.g. a list. Here's an example of a view model which will deliver a set of movies to the view, while accepting multiple selections in the favorite movie IDs property.
Let's see, where is the tag put? Select list, and where is the multiple attribute? I think it is automatically adding multiple attribute if our target is IEnumerable. And so let's define a variable like that. Public list string list selected movie items or IDs. Get and set. All right, and now let's duplicate our code on movie list. So here basically I will add another selection and list selected movie IDs. Okay, now it should be automatically become multiple selection. So we will see. All right, starting. You see, select tag is extremely useful and important tag in web programming. Therefore, it is also a complex feature as well. Okay, my computer is a little bit slow, unfortunately. Okay, now you see, this was our regular select box, as you can see, and this is the list box. Okay, we can of course change how they look easily with using classes or writing inline CSS code. If we still didn't start Bootstrap, however, Bootstrap have a lot of classes to change how these elements are displayed. Now I can, I can now pick multiple elements with my mouse like this, or with control, hitting control button like this. So I will pick Matrix and Fight Club, you see, and let's see if it is selected in my list, in my movie IDs list property. Okay, as you can see, number ID 2 and 3 is selected and it is correct. So I only changed the target attribute of the HTML tag helper, MVC tag helper, and automatically .NET Framework understood that now I am targeting an enumerable object such as a list. Therefore, it will be a collection of selections. Therefore, it has automatically parsed my select items as a list box. Let's also see how it is done in the source code as well. And let's read the summary meanwhile.
Summary. The HTML select element is one of the more complex HTML elements, with lots of possibilities, which is why the select tag helper is also a bit more complex to use, as seen in the examples above. However, that also means that it can save you even more time than usual.
Yes, definitely. Let's move to the next tutorial. Okay, let's also check the source code. So when I click inspect, now I am seeing multiple attributes here, as you can see. And we still have opt group and option values, and it also has now before attribute. Okay, now we understand. Tag helpers. Let's continue with the anchor tag.
The anchor tag helper. The anchor tag helper can aid you when you want to link to various actions on your controllers. You can of course do this manually, with regular HTML anchor elements and the ref attribute, but when you use the anchor tag helper, the ref attribute will be automatically generated for you. The controller and action attributes. The most commonly used attributes of this tag helper is the controller and action attributes. As the names indicate, they will allow you to reference which action on which controller you want the link to refer to. So, let's say you have a controller called Movie Controller with an action method called List, for displaying a list of movies. Generating a link for it with the anchor tag helper would then look like this. A ASP controller equals movie ASP action equals list movie list /a. The resulting HTML will look like this. A ref equals /movie /list movie list /a. Notice that I use both attributes, controller and action. If you don't, ASP.NET will make assumptions about which controller or action you want to use, based on the calling controller /action. In most situations, you are better off specifying both attributes.
Okay, so in most situations, we should define both of the parameters. So let's add an anchor here. For example, okay, ASP anchor action area, ASP controller action. Okay, controller will be lecture 7. It is not auto. Lecture 7. And the action will be, let's define an action from the lecture 7, such as, okay, this is HTTP post, this is get. Let's add let's write an action to here, such as okay, list stop action, and this will return content or content. Okay, some values, whatever we want. And now I'm also telling action to be this. And you see this is regular HTML, and it is enriched with ASP tag helper. So let's define the link name. Return some stuff from lecture 7. Now let's run it and continue reading.
The root-value attribute. In the example above, we link to a list of movies, but the anchor tag helper is perhaps even more useful when you want to link to a specific object in our example, a specific movie. So, when the list action is called, you would return a list of movies, as in this example.
Okay.
In the list view, you would then iterate over the movies and output a link to details about each of them.
Okay. This is This is just regular thing. So let's continue.
Pay special attention to the last attribute.
Oh, I see now. I think this is important. Let's make example of this as well. So here now we can see our generated link. You see it is linking to lecture 7. However, the action is failed, obviously. When we click it, yeah, action is failed. It didn't work as we wanted. Action list stuff. Oh, because this will be ASV action, not just action. All right, let's restart. And now I will make an example of ASV root ID attribute to display you a better thing. So let's go to our lecture 10 model, and in our lecture 10 model, what do we have? We have movie list, yeah. And the movie list is a selected item list. And what else do we have? Okay, I think, can I iterate? Yeah, I can, I think, iterate through this list as well. So it should work. Okay, now when I inspect, I can see, no, it didn't work either. So you see here is empty. Why? Public action results. List stuff. And lecture 7. Maybe it is not ASP action, but it is, yeah, it is the ASP action list. Why this is not working? List stuff. Maybe because we are having a root here, I don't know. It doesn't make sense. Let's add an action name, maybe it will work. Action name equal to, okay. Okay, so action name is working like this probably, yeah. So I have given an action name to this, and yeah, now it should work. Let's try again. ASP controller lecture 7. Yeah, lecture 7 controller exists, and action name is also exists. First, let's fix it, and we will continue for root ID attribute. Okay, still not working. Yeah. ASP controller and action. I think we have also encountered this problem in our previous lectures, but what was the reason? We already have that. maybe action result and I action result. Maybe that is the reason. So I don't know. Okay, so let's search for like this. Maybe we need a routing. I don't know. This is lecture 7 controller. Yeah, we have the exact naming. And I will pause to find it. Okay, I have figured out the problem and now I will explain it to you. So how did I do that? First, I have checked whether that action is working or not through browser. Okay. So not I didn't focus on the code here, and first I verified that whether our lecture 7 list staff action is working or not. Okay, so lecture 7 list staff, and as we are going to see right now, it is returning to lecture 7 index. Do you know why? Because right now this is overriding, or let's say catching all the routing, and because it is expecting a user ID and working as HTTP GET, therefore it is getting all the routing ID. Okay, so moreover, I also tried with lecture 8 method here. Like you see, it also have list stuff. So let's make this lecture 8, and in lecture 8 controller we don't have such routing, therefore it should work, right? And no, it doesn't work. Do you know why? Because our currently our routing is not working, and the reason is in our startup CS we have started our MVC with enable endpoint routing false. Okay, so we have several options to fix this. First of all, we can make this true. Okay. However, if we make this true, then we can't use this routing. You see, it says that using use MVC to configure MVC is not supported while using endpoint routing. To continue using use MVC, please set MVC options enable routing false. Personally, I don't suggest you to use this method. This is not the proper way. Therefore, I am going to comment that out and enable endpoints default routing. So this enables us to use the routing that is by default and that you will most likely to find on the internet. What I mean is, when you search for how to do routing, you will find examples based on using the use endpoints routing strategy, not this one. So this is a better one. So now let's try lecture 8 and this stuff. Now it is working because now it is using the proper way. And what about list 7? Now it is also working. So right now this is not overridden by the this one. So what happens if I, because its order is 2, what happens if I put a value something like this? Then it doesn't work. And this has probably changed our root way how it works. So can we make this work still? Let me check that. So this is optional user ID parameter, and when we do it like this, okay, it is working. However, the user ID is not. Okay, oh, it is still working. And when we make it something like this, yeah, working. So why didn't it work when we make it like this? Oh, it's still working. Okay, so both are working and default routing is also working. Another way would be defining our custom route to access that, such as let's make this as list some stuff. Okay, so when I make it like this, I can directly give a link to it, like I think there was a way we were able to name the route. So I'm going to name the route as name, like okay, some stuff. Okay, now it should work. So this is the routing name and this is the routing address, and instead of ASP action controller, I'm going to use ASP route, and I just will give the route name. This will also work with the previous version as well, where we have disabled the default endpoint routing. So you see, you have a lot of options to work with. Either way can work. However, I suggest you to use endpoint default routing because I think it is better. And now let's check the link here. Okay, so you see both of them are going to this route, and this route is the route that we have defined here. Okay, and would the default way work? Default action name. By the way, the action name is right now hidden from the user because we are using a custom route name, and yes, default route name not working anymore. So we have to use this routing way, and now it is working. Okay, so these are the options. This is how we solve it. And now I am going to show you the route ID parameter. Okay, so let's write another action here. Public action results. Okay, and let's say list movie details. Okay, so this is going to take a parameter, a route ID parameter. Okay, it is also explained in our example. Okay, and so do we need to type here exact name? Probably yes. ir move id. Okay, something like this. And what this is going to do is, so it will return from the model. However, we need to have the default model for that. So let's generate our model. Okay, we can just initialize it like this. And we will return my model dot list selected movie ID select, or var. Yeah, let's use var. Var pr dot pr is the anything name. It is like parameter. And here, okay, so by the way, not the selected movie IDs. We need to use. Okay, where is it? I think it is inside movie list. Movie list is a list of selected list item. No. Let's go to our model. I think we can even see from here, like peak definition. And here, where do we set it? We set it inside. Okay, selected list group, then we add them into the movie list. Yeah, inside movie list. Okay. Okay, where pr dot movie list. Why it is not? Okay. I think it will be from here. My movie list. Okay. And where pr dot value equal to move ID. And then it says string and integer, therefore I am going to make this to string. Actually, we can even directly take a string. It doesn't matter. And then we are going to select the name of the movie. Okay, so the value selected text, yeah. And of course, we can not just return. We need to return as content, and this will be our string. However, I also need to make a default or empty. First or default. Yeah, let's make it first or default. First or default. I think now, since it is first or default, we need to perhaps use null check or. Okay, since this is first or default, we can probably get text directly. Okay, so this can be null as well, because if that's value is not existing, so we can make a null check, like if it is null, we will return no such movie is found, else we will return the value itself. I wonder if there is something like this. Yeah, let's try it. Okay, so this will be the list movie details. And now let's code our CSHTML. So inside here, I'm going to have a for each statement, which will be inside model dot movie list. And from here, I will use select pr dot I think I can directly iterate it. Okay, we are per movie, and let's write some links inside it. Okay, so the controller will be lecture 10, and the action will be list movie details, and then we are going to set a root ID. ASP root ID, or I think this, let me check it. ASP root, and instead of ID we are going to use SR movie ID, like this, will be equal to at vr per movie dot so when we set it as var, it cannot see it, therefore I need to set it as lecture 9 dot models dot lecture 10 dot okay. It is not visible here, so not this, but selected item list. So the selected item list is, let's check our controller. It is coming from MVC rendering, yeah. So it's coming from MVC rendering. Let's see if it will. Oh, it is directly visible. Now I can see, you see the set text, not text of course, it will be ID, value ID. So this will be the so basically we will provide this action the ID of the movie so that we can return its value. Click here to find out this movie name. Okay, it will be something like random. Okay, so let's also put a breakpoint here to see what happens in the code behind. Okay, all right, let's run the application. All right, so you see SR movie ID 1, SR movie ID 2, these are the links. When I inspect, I can see the generated values. However, you see right now it starts with slash because we are on the same page right now. We are on the controller 10, therefore when I click each of them, it will return the value. Oh, it is not returning because, yeah, the action is not working. Yeah, that is why. So let's check our code. Here we have default root, we have root update name, and we have the action name. Okay, so in our, let's check our Razor page, controller lecture 10. Okay, additional parameters for the root. Oh, so since we are using root, but this is still work, it should. So okay, list movie details. Let's define a custom route instead of this. So let's define a route as, okay, lecture 10 movie details, and the route name will be okay, so the road name will be, yeah, I will just make it like this. Okay, and can be this overridden with the default route? No. So let's change our code as ASP root, just this. Yeah. Let's try this way. Okay, so by default mode it didn't work, probably because we have a root routing at the top, and then yeah, here. So this default routing could have been causing some problems, maybe. Oh, I know the reason. I know the reason. I just need to provide. Okay, let me check something. Lecture 10. Oh, interesting. Okay, let's first try this way. Then we can look for the alternative way as well. Controller movie action details. Okay, let's look at the links. Okay, so now the links are generated as we wanted. The movie ID has returned successfully. Okay. And let's see the results. But the content is not returned. So first, let's see what does this return. So we can debugging. We can do a debug on that. Once we generate an instance of lecture 10 model, it should automatically initialize the movies list, because we are initializing it inside the constructor. Here you see this is the constructor and we are initializing the list. So where is the problem? Let's find out. Okay, the movie ID is here, value is here, and I think the default value is the problem. Yeah. So let's make it like this. Okay, string is null or empty equal to, actually I can even make it like this, equal to null. Okay, then no such movie is found, else the value itself. So the default was rather wrong, I think. It was default string probably. So let's just return it like this. Yeah. Now it should work as expected. Okay. Now let's open the movies. Okay. And yes, as you can see, now we are seeing the names. And let's enter something not exist in the movie list. Okay, no such movie is found. So you see, this can be used basically for anything. You can do an Ajax query. You can use this as a web service as with get method, and it is working as we wanted. But this is not very much SEO friendly. This is not SEO friendly URL. So I think we should be able to fix that as well. So instead of root ID, let's add a parameter here, optional parameter. Okay, like like this. Okay, so now I am going to make a SEO friendly version as well. So we have root and how can we make it? ASP fragment post. Okay, let me check. Instead of route ID, I wonder if there is another way. And let's see the tag helper. Yeah, we need to expand with tag helper. Okay. Parameter. One moment. With tag helper. Yeah, we need to look for this way. I think I will just write it directly as ref equal to. So what is the route? It is like this. It will be like this. And for the movie ID, simply we will use VR per movie dot value. So this will be more SEO friendly version. However, here we are writing the full path ourselves. I don't know if we can add optional parameter to ASP root tag helper. ASP root ID works, but the other it is not SEO friendly. Now when I open this, yes, it is working and it is more SEO friendly. Okay. So if someone has asked this, probably not. Okay, it is not that important either. So let's see what more we have done. Okay, how to compose multiple selection with multiple selectable. Well, with using tag helpers and I variable property binding. Okay. On this select list, yeah. Okay, and how to compose SEO, okay. How to use route tag to get parameters from tag helpers. Okay. So there is also fragment like this. This hashtag is used to directly move to a part of the page. I will also show you that in an example. It may be also useful for you. Okay, so okay, we are per value. Okay. So generating SEO directly. What else? Compose optional routing. Okay. And all right, let's also see fragment and how it works. There's also protocol attribute. We can tell that the protocol will be HTTPS like this, or HTTP. And about the fragment, I think it was going to ID or something here. So to do that, let's add something to like here. I will make it as div ID fragment example, and let's add a button. Okay, like BR and just lecture, or let's just use routing. It is slash, and then let's add fragment. So the fragment will be fragment example. Okay, check fragment. By the way, this is supposed to do a full page navigation and then go to the fragment, not directly going to fragment with JavaScript, but I am not sure. We will see that. Okay, so we have a text here, and when I click this, okay, it didn't work. Okay, so the road of this didn't work. Okay, why? This is the road. Because we didn't give it a name. We need to give it a name. Okay, let's make the name as this. Okay, let's restart. So you see, to be able to access a root, you need to give it a name. Okay, this didn't work. Or we have an error somewhere. Oh, this was compile error. Let's retry. Let's close this page. The compile error happened because of the overriding the executing files. That throw an error. Okay, and now, yes, now it is working. Okay, but it is not redirecting, it is just going to that link. So if you make it something like this, you see it is directly going to that page. So it is not a redirect, but it is directly going to that page because we have used the same page linking like this. So when I click it, it directly goes to that page. Okay, it is working as well. So this is called as fragment attribute. Alright, and protocol attribute, host attribute, like this. Oh, you can also use host attribute and action. Yeah, this is not necessary. You okay, custom routing. How to use fragment attribute. Okay, host attribute. And protocol attribute. Okay, let's copy and paste this to see what but this wouldn't work because maybe it would work, I'm not sure. Currently host is localhost, so this may not work. Yeah. Okay, so in your website you can use this, but I wouldn't suggest it. It should get the host itself automatically. Yeah. All right, and the next one is script tag helper. Yeah, let's see that as well.
The script tag helper. Historically, script files, usually JavaScript, have been hosted locally, along with the rest of the files used by a web application. However, as early as the beginning of 2000, the concept of CDNs became a very popular alternative to hosting static content like script files on the same server as the website. CDN is short for Content Delivery Network, and while CDNs are used for a variety of purposes and reasons, our focus in this article is the delivery of script files. If you use any of the large JavaScript frameworks, e.g. jQuery, you should consider using a CDN for hosting and delivering it to your web application. The biggest advantage, besides the fact that your server will save some resources, is the fact that if you use a library that is also used in other major sites, the browser of the visitor is allowed to cache it and then reuse it when they visit your website. This will make your website seem much faster, while saving bandwidth and resources. A win-win situation.
What does this mean is, for example, when I visited this page, my browser is caching, for example, Bootstrap means CSS. It is coming from Bootstrap CDN. So if I use this CSS on my web page, it won't get downloaded again. because the URL will be same on my web page as well. Therefore, the browser will check the cache and see that this URL, this file already exists in the cache. So both on my website and on this website, since we are using the same CDN for getting the CSS file of Bootstrap, only on one website it will get cached, then the other one will use that cache. So it will be much faster, it will save resources, bandwidth and such. It will improve your score on the eyes of Google or other search engines and such. So this is what does this paragraph means.
The, perhaps, only problem with using a CDN is the fact that it might not be available 100% of the time.
And this is true. If CDN is down, then you would like to serve it from your website. So first check CDN, and if it is not available, then use another CDN that I put, or use my website itself.
Time. This is rarely a problem if you use one of the major CDNs, but everything breaks at some point, and when it does, you will experience that your website is online and apparently working, but some of the features are failing because an important piece of JavaScript is no longer available to the rest of your code. Therefore, you should always have a local fallback, but how do you know when to use it? This is where the script tag helper comes in.
Okay, why use CDN to host static files? How to have a backup plan of CDN failure with fallback script helper. All right, let's continue reading it.
The Fallback Src Attribute. To use the script tag helper, you should always supply a value for the Fallback Src Attribute as an alternative to the regular Src attribute. This is the path to the local file you want to use in case the CDN is not working as expected. It could look like this. Script src equals ht.
Okay, let's continue.
In this case, jQuery will be loaded from the CDN.js, a very popular CDN location, but if that doesn't work, a local version will be requested from the local content folder instead. However, detecting that the CDN has failed to deliver the required JavaScript file can be difficult, but the script tag helper can help you with this as well.
So how will browser understand that this file is not existing? That will be handled by our script tag helper, and let's see that as well.
The fallback test attribute. By supplying a value for the fallback test attribute, the script tag helper will make sure to output JavaScript code to test whether the desired library was loaded correctly, and if not, the local fallback script will be included. In the case of jQuery, you can take advantage of the fact that jQuery will attach itself as a property on the global window object, meaning that if jQuery has been successfully loaded, you can access window.jQuery. You can use this as a test expression for the script tag helper like this. Script s.
Okay, so you see in the source code we are getting script, and then we are having window jQuery or document write, the alternative script path simply. So if window jQuery is not available, it will document write the other script path. Okay, so we can add this and we can check the source code. However, since we already have jQuery, it won't fail. And where we are getting jQuery, we are getting the jQuery from View Start. Actually, this is where we need to set this. So the src will be this. Okay, it's already there. And then the fallback Src. Okay, src. So let's run our application. By the way, the order matters, so I need to put this first. because first this will be loaded, then the other scripts will get loaded, and they may fail if this is not available. Okay, so let's stop the application and restart. By the way, we don't have a currently content folder, and actually I will also do that. So let's also add content. One moment. It's on MVC how to serve static content. For serving static content, we need to have something, I believe. So we can add file.css, ignore root, or let's see in the English. Okay, so in the program CS file, we are going to have use static files. So we have that. Okay, it is in the inside configure here, and it is coming before routing here. Okay, for to be able to use static files, then we can have a folder and path. Yeah, so serve files out of web root. So the hierarchy is supposed to be as www root, CSS images, JS files, and my static files as well. I think I will use the proper path. So let's add a folder, name it as www root. Okay, then inside here we are going to have JS folder. So where it is? Yeah, add folder as JS. Okay, now let's go to our view start and download this jQuery. Okay, let's save as. So I'm going to download this into my Bootstrap lecture 11, and inside here www root and JS and jQuery min. Actually, I should type the full version as well, such as okay jQuery. Okay, it is not very much necessary too. So let's also add the path as, so this will be under JS file. Let's look for the naming convention here. Okay, static files, images, retros. Okay, so it will be www root and JS, and okay, like this. Okay, so let's run the application. First, let's try it with regular CDN jQuery. Then I will change this URL to something invalid, and we will see if it is working serving from the our local host or not. How to serve static files in ASP.NET. And we see such as JavaScript, JS, same thing, but let's write it. HTML, image, CSS, okay, etc. Okay, so let's inspect our code. Let's also on the source code. Okay, on the source code we see this is generated by the tag helper, and this is the link that is modified by my this is alternative link. Okay, this is the link. So in the network, let's refresh it to see. Okay, so the CS file is, I think, modified from cache. Let's do a shift F5 to do a local cache refresh, but it is still coming from memory cache, I see. Okay, it looks everything fine, and it is not loaded from our local host. Let's see if we can see the, okay, so these are all CDN files, you see. Okay, now I'm going to turn this into something invalid. Okay, let's make it like this. And let's run the application. Now our alternative fallback should work. And we should see that in our network traffic. Okay, let's check the inspect network. Let's refresh. Okay, you see jQuery mean failed, and our file is also failed. So let's open this in a new window. Yeah, our static file is not served right now. That means we have an error. Okay, so where is our error? We have enabled use static files. Oh, I need to remove www because it is the default naming convention. So it will be like this, yeah. I think. Let me check. Yes. Since we are using the default naming convention, we don't need to provide www as the path. Okay. Okay. So let's inspect and check network, refresh. Okay, first one failed, then the other one is loaded. As you can see, it is coming from our local host. Since this one fails, the other one is loaded. If it doesn't fail, then other one won't be loaded. Let's verify that again. So I will fix the name. Now let's check it out. Okay, meanwhile we can move to the next. And the link tag helper. And this is the same as JavaScript, basically. And it also has some testing cases. We will see about that in a moment. Let's just learn this first properly. Okay, on the network tag, when I refresh, I see jQuery mean, and I don't see the other one because it is not parsed. Therefore, only it is loaded from the localhost. Okay, I mean the CDN.
The link tag helper. As we discussed in the previous article, static contents such as JavaScript and CSS has typically been served from the same server as the rest of the website. However, as we also discussed in the previous articles, there are several good reasons to rely on a CDN instead for at least some of the static content, e.g. major JavaScript libraries and the CSS they rely on. If you want to know more about the reasons, go back and read the previous article. So, when including JavaScript from a CDN, you can use the script tag helper, as we saw in the last article, and for CSS files, you can use the link tag helper.
Okay.
The HTML link tag uses the ref attribute to dictate which file to include, so as an addition to that, the link tag helper offers the fallback ref attribute, which will be the path used if the CDN version, which should be provided in the ref attribute, fails for some reason. Here's an example. ASP fallback ref equals /content/bootstrap.min/css/. In this case, the CSS for Bootstrap, a popular web framework, will be loaded from the CDN.js, a very popular CDN location, but if that doesn't work, a local version will be requested from the local content folder instead. However, detecting that the CDN has failed to deliver the required CSS file can be difficult, but the link tag helper can help you with this.
Okay, it is basically the same as previous one. So to solve this issue, let's go to our view start. Currently we don't have a CDN for CSS. Let's copy paste this like this. So let's first download this from the internet. Okay, you see this is not available. Okay, so Bootstrap CDN. And here, let's copy this. So this is the CDN link. You see it is changed. Let's download it. Okay, save as. And for CSS, I will generate a CSS file. Okay, let's generate a CSS folder under the www root. Add new folder CSS. We can't rename while running the website. Okay, now I can save the CSS file into my folder. Save as, and here, www CSS. Okay, Bootstrap means CSS, and it will be served under CSS folder. Okay, so usually there are test class, SR only, test property position, and test value absolute. So for this to be able to work, I think we don't need to do anything. Let's run the application to see, because it will be all handled and automatically done by the tag helper itself. Which tag helper? ASP fallback tag helper. I mean the ASP fallback, test class, test property, and test value tag helpers. Test class. Okay, test property and test value. Okay, and let's, okay, you see, as soon as I have loaded the Bootstrap, my entire page view is updated according to the Bootstrap visibility, and it may even become responsive. Let's see, I'm not sure. Okay, and let's check the source page. So there is the script if it won't work, so let's check it out. Okay, let's see if there is a generated class in somewhere. Okay, yeah, here I can see it, meta name fallback content. Yeah, so this is the string that it is checking whether the Bootstrap is loaded or not, and now it also has a script to do that. First, let's check from the network. Okay, and do we see the CSS file? No. Why? Oh, here, Bootstrap CSS. We can see it. It is loaded from the CDN, and let's invalidate the CDN, and let's see if it is loaded from our local host. Yes, I can see it is working. Refresh. You see this one is failed and the local host is loaded. Awesome, it is working. You can also have alternative CDNs as fallback URL, but I will suggest you to use your own server. Okay, so this was the last tutorial that we are going to see today. Where we are left is here. This was a very long lecture, but it was extremely also an educative one. So I am hoping that you will watch it at least twice. And let's update our GitHub repository. All right. Actually, we don't even need to push object folder unless you are putting something manually to your debug. You don't need to push object folder. It will be automatically generated each time you run the application. However, I didn't spend time with that. Okay, so end of lecture 11. I hope that you have liked my lecture. Hopefully see you next week.